Everybody, listen to me today. We're going to cover the top 10 foods never to eat. If you've seen me do this before, great. List has changed. A lot of new stuff on the list. You've got to stay tuned. Number one food we need to stay away from are the high-fat luncheon meats. I include bacon, sausage, ham, pepperoni, and hot dogs in that category.
But many people like that stuff.
Many people
is there a natural way to do it?
Many people are dying of cancer, and that's why. See, there's a compound called sodium nitrite in luncheon meats. It's a coloring agent. It reacts with stomach acid to form nitrosamines.
Even the organic stuff?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, there are natural hot dogs.
Oh,
We give them to the kids all the time. Well, not all the time, once or
At
twice
your
a month.
natural food stores, they don't have sodium nitrite in them.
All right.
But you've got
read the label.
But you've got to look on the label, because the label will tell you if it has sodium nitrite in it, you never touch it. Plus, in some cases, there's a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair. We were told years ago that the USDA allowed a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair in sausage meats. That's not true. The USDA does not allow any certain percentage of rat or rodent hair. I said that one time at a seminar. It's about 28,000 people. I was doing a seminar with President Bush and Colin Powell and those guys out in Denver one time. And I had people from the USDA was there. They were there. And they contacted me with a big package of information. And they said, that's a misnomer that a lot of people have quoted, that we allow a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair in meat. We don't. But as soon as we find it in the meat, in the luncheon meat, in the finished products, we go in and make them sterilize and clean the plant. So what they're saying is, yes, it's in there. When we find it, so they're not even denying it. But they don't allow it. So yes, there is a percentage of that. Remember, you don't know what's in it if it's been ground up into little pieces. Number two is stuff like NutraSweet, aspartame, Equal, Splenda, all the artificial sweeteners. In fact, it's kind of interesting. One of the side effects of the Splenda product now is it causes calcification of the kidneys and kidney damage. The aspartame causes brain tumors, brain cancer, seizures, headaches, optic nerve degradation. The list goes on and on and on. And here's what we've learned. There's a lot of natural products that you can use. You can use stevia.
There is coconut sugar. There's, just find something that's natural, low in calories, but white sugar just...
And also, you got to this is one of the top 5 things that we have to stay away from too, is fructose. Never eat fructose. The majority of the people in the United States get most of their calories every day from fructose. It causes all types of problems with liver disease, with diabetes, with cancer. Fructose is one of the worst things you can put in your body. That's in the number 5 category. We'll talk about that just in a second. Number 3 is an interesting one. That would be margarine. You can use olive oil. You can use real butter. But if you're going to buy butter, this is really important, okay? Because 100% of the calories in butter come from fat. 100% of the calories in margarine come from fat. 100% of the calories in olive oil come from fat. So if you're going to use it, make sure you get organic butter. And here's why. A lot of the hormones that are in the cow and that are being injected into the cow end up accumulating in the butter fat. And so you don't want to use non-organic butter. You want to always make sure you buy organic butter, and you can mix it with a little bit of olive oil and make a soft spread out of it. It's absolutely delicious. But don't use margarine. It increases the risks of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, all of these things with margarine. Stay with the real butter. Fat's good for you.
Okay.
Well, that's the good fat.
The good fat. Yeah, the bad fat. But here's the thing. This whole thing with cholesterol is a joke. Years ago, I had my cholesterol tested. It was like at 250. And in fact, it was so funny. I did this on a show one time with you. I actually showed you the list, and it said right there the normal range was between 250 and 300 for normal cholesterol, and I was like at 250, 260. Now, and then the next time I get my cholesterol tested, they dropped it down to 200. Now, the reason they dropped it down to 200, there's no scientific evidence to drop it down to 200. It's just they want to sell more statin drugs. Here's the problem. When your cholesterol drops below 200, all disease rates go up. Cancer goes through the roof when your cholesterol goes under 200. Plus, you have to have sufficient quantities of cholesterol in your blood. Your liver makes it if you don't get enough. And what ends up happening if you don't, you can't make testosterone if you're a guy. Your brain gets all foggy. You can't think. You lose your drive. You lose your ambition. All you want to do is sit on the couch and watch TV all day because you don't want to get out and do anything because you don't have any testosterone left.
And good, fresh yard eggs, regular eggs, don't raise your cholesterol.
No. The cholesterol studies that were showing that cholesterol caused heart disease were done with powdered egg yolks back in the 60s and 50s. A study that is done using fresh organic eggs to elevate cholesterol and cause heart disease has never been proven. It's never been done. It's simply not true. Eggs are one of the highest quality proteins you can eat, period. Make sure they're organic. Number 4 to stay away from. Number 4 is shellfish. Remember, a lobster is an arthropod. A cockroach is an arthropod. All this thing is, giant cockroach in the bottom of the ocean. Don't eat it. Stay away from it, okay? Don't eat it. Don't eat it. It's bad. It's really, really bad. And plus now with Fukushima, they're releasing 300 tons. That reactor in Japan right now is releasing 300 tons of radioactive water into the ocean every single day. We've had detectable amounts of radiation coming all the way to California now. There's things you can do.
They're filtering the water. The water's, bad.
The genetic mutations that we've had in the Gulf of Mexico now with shellfish from all the core eggs that they dumped in to clean up that Gulf spill when that pipe broke under the water is unbelievable. I never touched shellfish. I didn't touch shellfish before. I won't put it in my body now. It's that bad. In fact, the Bible tells you in Leviticus not to eat if it doesn't have fins and scales. And same thing with pork. Don't eat pork. And see, people are always saying to me, well, the Bible, that's because they didn't have refrigeration back then. Well, pardon me for a second. God knows what refrigeration is. He'd have put an appendix in the back of the Bible and said, oh, by the way, when you guys figure out what refrigeration is, you can go ahead and eat this stuff. That's not what he said. He said, don't touch it, don't put it in your body, don't put it in your mouth. It's bad for you. It's full of parasites. Plus, lobster can contain abnormally high levels of arsenic, lead, mercury. And that includes oysters, shrimp, scallops, prawns, clams, all of that stuff. Stay away from all of it. There's good seafood out there, but be very, very careful with things like tuna, which is another unclean fish. You got to avoid those because they're what they call an apex predator, and they can actually have a lot of mercury in them, so you got to avoid those. They warn women not to do that. Number 5, the junk food category. I told you we're going to change this list, and now it's fixing to get really interesting for those who've heard this list before. GMO foods are poison. Don't put in your body. Europe's got all kinds of bans against genetically modified foods. God told us not to mingle the seed. He told us that in the Old Testament. He knows better than going in and doing hybrid experimentation with animals and putting animal DNA in crops. Almost every single food product that we have now that we're eating that's not organic, that doesn't come from a health food store, contains genetically modified origins. Then you see the picture of the animal. Number 6, we have to stay away from is aluminum salts. Now, it's interesting. I'm going to show it. I'll show a report up in a second. You can look at this report, on the air. And what's interesting, I had my rainwater tested, and it's full of aluminum and full of barium. I don't know how it got there. I got theories on it. I don't know. But that's supposed to be distilled water. That means we're aspirating it. It's in the air. In addition to that, they're using hexafluoroaluminate in our crops as pesticides. They've been doing it for many, many years. It's combining fluoride, which is unbelievably poisonous, and aluminum, which is unbelievably poisonous. And they're putting it on crops and vegetables. And when you eat this stuff, you get huge amounts of fluoride and aluminum in your system from the food you're eating. Now, here's what's interesting. Fluoride massively increases aluminum uptake in the brain, which has been unequivocally linked to Alzheimer's disease. Plus, fluoride massively drops children's IQ levels. And you have a 20-point drop in IQ. This is major journals that are talking about this now. Number 7 is soy.
Right. Why is soy bad?
Oh, wow.
Soy is what's called an endocrine disruptor. Okay? It's an endocrine disruptor.
Explain that.
It disrupts the endocrine in the glandular system, the pituitary gland, the thyroid. It disrupts everything. Soy should not even be used by human beings. If you're using soy, I ask you to stop using soy. Don't use soy. It's that important. Soy contains phytoestrogens. They're estrogen compounds that are estrogen mimickers in the body. The body thinks you're ingesting estrogen when you eat soy. If you want to act like a girl and talk like a girl and you're a guy, eat soy. I mean, if you want to have a condition called gynecomastia, which is an enlargement of the breast tissue, eat soy. I mean, it's unbelievable what it does, and children should never be given soy formula. This product should be completely and totally pulled off the market. It feminizes men. It feminizes them. It's as bad as BPA in plastic bottles. BPA is unbelievably bad when you eat drink because that's called bisphenol A. That feminizes men. It was put into the food supply through plastics back in the 40s. It's another estrogen compound. All of these pesticides that we're using.
You're very bold, you know that.
Well, no, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all these people dying of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer and saying we don't understand why we're dying. I'm telling you why you're dying. It's because of the poison they're putting into the food. And number 9 are coffee products. Now, here's the thing.
Coffee products.
Yeah. Just stay away from coffee. If you drink coffee every once in a while, it's no big deal, but don't get to the point where you want to drink it every day. Use green tea.
Okay.
We've got a product at the office called the Purple Stick. It's a green tea extract, and I had one before I came on the show today. Makes you feel good. It's loaded with vitamins. It's loaded with green tea.
So
it's
no coffees, but teas are okay.
Coffee, okay, every once in a while. It's not one of those things. I mean, nobody's going to hell for drinking coffee, okay? I'm not going to tell anybody. That's nonsense, okay? But the reality is try to do it in moderation and don't do it every day because it does have a tendency to increase blood pressure. And number 10 is alcohol. If you have now listen to me, saints. I don't even want to encourage you to do this because I'm not encouraging you, but you had a glass of wine or a beer every once in a while. Who cares? The Bible doesn't say don't drink a beer. My goodness, Jesus' first miracle was turn water into wine. But what you don't want to do is get into a situation where you're drinking alcohol all the time. It's not healthy for you. It increases the risk of pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, cirrhosis of liver, alcoholism, and osteoporosis. And I've never heard anybody say, my life was a wreck and then I started drinking alcohol every day, and by golly, it got a whole lot better. It doesn't work that way. Everybody has their life go down the tubes, and they feel absolutely awful, and they become alcoholics. I've got a brother who's an alcoholic. My goodness. Being German, my mom's from Germany, my dad's parents were from Germany. I speak German. Being German, you know, we were raised with beer. My mom gave me my first beer when I was 8 years old, God rest her soul, okay? And I didn't like it because she gave it to me hot. She gave me a hot beer at 8. And I thought, this is the nastiest stuff I've ever tasted. But the reality is, alcohol is not forbidden by the Bible. Drunkenness is. Now, I'm not promoting alcohol because it's not healthy to do. But don't feel as though if you have a glass of wine or something every once in a while, it's bad, because it's not. And you cannot prove that by Scripture. Let me tell you something, friends. You may not follow everything I'm telling you today, and that's okay. But one thing you will know, and I give you my word before God Almighty, that everything that I'm telling you, I believe at the bottom of my heart because I know it to be true.